Hey, what's up everybody? So today in this video I want to talk about a very common topic, and it's called traveling with a firearm. I get asked a lot on Instagram, social media, friends that are going over to international hunts for the first time. How do they pack the rifle? What do they need? What's in and outs? Because a lot of people, there's a big misconception, it's like impossible. People think it's so hard, it's like a dramatic thing, and I want to tell you guys it's not. It is not that hard to travel with a firearm when you take the right, proper steps to making sure it's easy, safe for you, safe for your rifle, and we're going to go through that today step by step on how you do it. So the very first thing what you got to do is when you plan on going international is you got to get this form. First and foremost, you need this form here. This is a 4457 form, and essentially it's a certificate of registration for personal effects taken abroad. That's what it exactly says on there. Essentially what that is here in America, and I'm only really talking to people here in the US because I don't know the laws, rules from other countries for yourself traveling out of your own country. So this is a guideline for you, but dig in a little deeper if you're not from the US. So from the US, we don't have like a proper firearm license. Like you don't get like a card that says you own a firearm, whatever. That right there is essentially your license for your rifle or whatever you're taking. Even with the bow, I get one down for my bow. That is essentially your license, you know, and pretty much your get in and out of jail free card, because you get into the country with it, out of the country with it, into other countries with it, because that is a certified certificate showing that you own that rifle. So you want to get that, and what you have to do is I have to go down to Salt Lake City Airport. Some airports are different. You want to make sure that you have one that you have the so you want to make sure there's a Department of Homeland Border Security at the airport, because that's where you got to get that form from. So I take the rifle down there, take it in the case. This is prior to any trips, because you need to have that 4457 form prior to booking flights, getting permits, going anywhere else. But we'll cover that a little bit later. So you go down to the airport. Sometimes you have to schedule appointments. Most times you can just walk in, but you got to make sure they're open, because sometimes they're not open during certain times of the day, and it's a real pain when you drive a couple hours to the airport and realize, oh, they're closed from 2 to 5 or whatever. So make sure they're open. Go down there. You got to take your rifle in. Make sure there's no bullets in it. I've actually, a couple years ago, I was doing it, and a lady was taking her rifles in for her and her husband to go to Africa, and they still had bullets in one of the rifles, and I was like helping the lady learn, like showing her what she needed to have for the lady, while the lady was checking my rifles behind the counter in the back, and I realized that the gun was loaded. I'm like, we gotta unload this real quick. But so make sure that there's no bullets in the rifle, no bullets in the case, no ammo. You don't need to take any ammo with you on this one. So take it down there, get it filled out. You know, they'll write your serial number, brand, you know, make, model, all that good stuff, and then someone will sign it. It's pretty much just saying they approve that you own this rifle or bow. Again, you get that done. I always make a couple copies when I get home, because they're good for life. Some places say not, some places they do. So I get it done every 3 to 4 years on every rifle, just to make sure it's updated. But I get a couple copies. I'll keep one in the hard case, keep one in my travel possessions, and then one extra back home. So then moving on to the case. When you're flying international, you need a good lockable case. I have metal cases. I have these cases like this Vault or a Pelican or a SKB case. It's whatever suits your preference, whatever, you know, sometimes like Gunworks, you get a case from them, molded, cut to your rifle. It's nice, proper to fit it in there. That case works great. Whatever case you're using, make sure it's a hard case. It could be the aluminum and metal ones. Those are great. We have a couple of those. Like I said, I have a bunch of these harder cases like this. So what you want to do is on these cases, there's a couple cases out there like off brands, and even an SKB bow case that I had before. They don't have locking eyelids. So what you want to make sure they have locking eyelids, which are these little lids right here, and I'll show you. I'll get a better in-depth look of them. These are the lids right here, and you want to make sure there's multiple of those, because what you want to do is when you're traveling with a firearm, you do not want to have TSA locks or TSA built-in locks, because that's what was on the bow case that I had built-in TSA approved locks, but no eyelids to lock it. And the reason for that is I know a lot of people are like, well, you need to have TSA locks. No, you don't. Have a combo lock. Have locks like these. High school gym lockers. The best things you guys can have on, because guys, too many people have access to TSA keys throughout the airport. And I actually, on that bow case, I flew from here to Australia, and on that bow case, they actually took the locks out, like tapped them out, opened it up, pushed them out the back way, so I was no longer able to lock my bow case the entire time. So I had to get a bunch of zip ties and zip tie it for the travel back home. Luckily nothing was wrong with the bow, nothing was stolen out of it, but it just, too many people have access to it, and there's a lot of people that do not, frankly there's a lot of people that are ignorant and do not like people flying with firearms, or hunters that work at airports. So just make sure you can put locks on it, and again I suggest combo locks. You can use key locks, but what happens if you lose the key? I would suggest combo locks, and the thing is, on this case right here, there's 4 spots for it. I would put 4 locks on this case. 2, if there's only 2, that's great, but the more the better, because then they can't pry open areas, open up corners, and stuff like that. So I'd put 1 on each one of these locking points. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. So that way, the case is securely locked down. There's no way they're going to get into it, because they could cut 1 lock off and manage to pry 1 or 2 locks off, maybe 2, most likely just 1. But the time that it would take them to sit there and mess with all the cases that has 4 locks on it or 2 locks on it compared to 1 lock is night and day difference. They're not going to take the time to do it, because that risks them getting caught doing whatever they're doing. So I'd put 4 locks on it. Make sure they're good quality locks too, like these master locks. These are great locks. But I'm going to go into another subject real quick. I bought this case to go to Cameroon with my buddy Tyler. I had a lot of these little colored combo wheel locks here. Had 4 of them ready. Got to the airport, and I always leave it this is my thing. When I get to the airport, I always leave the case unlocked, because as soon as you get there, you're gonna have to open it up, go through the rigmarole, show them the rifle. Sometimes you have to go to the police area. Depends on what airlines, where you're at, so you're gonna have to open it up. So I leave it unlocked until then. Well, when I got done with that, I went to put these locks in here, and I just traveled back from South Africa with a different rifle and a different case. So this one was brought to me down to Salt Lake, and this was a rookie move. I didn't test the locks. So these locks don't have a deep enough throat to go completely through these eyelids and lock. So I was sitting in the airport and couldn't get my locks on my case. So luckily we had some time, and I was able to find some locks at the airport. And the best ones that work for this case is these deep, long-throated locks, because they go over here and you just pop it in like that and it rock and rolls. This one didn't have enough throat to get through to lock it. It goes through it, but there's not enough throat to actually get the lock to lock. So make sure when you buy a case, you get some locks and test it out. That was a rookie move on me on that first mistake, but I learned from it. Always have separate different types of locks. Again, this one's a combo lock, dial on the bottom, no key, combo lock like in high school. Those are big factors when it comes to that. So the next subject that I want to cover with you guys on traveling is traveling with your ammunition. A lot of people are like, alright, so I can just put my bullets in my gun case and fly. No, don't do that. Different airlines, different rules, different countries, different rules, but the best, safest way to do it is have an external case like this. This is plastic. We have some metal ones as well, but you have a case like this, and what we do on this is, they just pop open. You put the bullets in there, lock, put it like this, and what we do on this, we actually do run a TSA lock on these ones. We run, either you can get a key one, or you get the combo ones. I use a lot of combo ones. This is just one key one I had in here, because I had to buy an extra one. And you just lock it up, and this goes in your check bag with your clothes. Separate from your firearm. You don't want your ammo anywhere near your firearm. Separate baggage, separate box, locked up. This one you can use the TSA lock on it. We do, because if it's in your luggage, they always open up your luggage, and if they see it, they want to be able to look into it. I doubt they steal your ammo. They could, so you could put a different lock on it if you want. But I always use a TSA lock, and these plastic cases, you get them at any sporting goods store or ranch and supply store. They work great. They fit 2 to 4 20-round boxes, and then lock nice and tight. So I always just keep my lock in there on it, and it's ready to rock and roll. So again, separate cases for each of these. You don't want to have any mishaps at the airport. You don't want to have any issues. So show up with this in your check bag. This ready to rock and roll. Remember, leave it unlocked when you first show up. Be able to lock it. go from there. Next thing, always have your bolt out of your firearm when you're traveling. So have your rifle and your bolt separate in the case. A lot of times, like on some of our cases where the bolts go underneath the foam, other cases like the Gunworks cases, they have a spot for the bolts. I cut like a little section for the bolt on this one as well. So make sure they're separate, because the airports are real finicky about that. Like, you know, you open it up and the bolt's in it and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So make sure the bolt's out. That way they can look and easily see the rifle's unloaded. There's no bullets in it. You can't just take the rifle out and fire it. So do all the steps to make sure that it's an easy, smooth sailing process for you when you get to the airport. No ammo, no bolt, separated, 4457 form, and you're ready to go. A lot of airlines, what you'll do at the ticket counter is they'll give you like a Delta. They give you like a little orange slip, and it says this firearm is unloaded, yada yada. You sign it and you put it in the case as well. So that's kind of the gist of flying with the rifle, flying with ammo for the first time throughout this part of the video. Alright, so next on this subject about traveling with a firearm, I'm going to give you guys a couple different things, other tips and tactics that I think are great. So you got your hard case, got your ammo box, got all that good stuff. So another thing is when you're going to these remote places, whether you're going to Alaska on a sheep hunt, or you're going to some stuff in Africa, or you're going to be using a charter plane, there's weight limits and stuff, a lot of the times they'll ask you to leave your hard case somewhere else. They'll keep it in like a house somewhere, they'll keep it locked up somewhere for you, but they want you to fly with a soft case. I haven't had as much in Africa as I have had in like Alaska and stuff, but a good thing is take a soft case with you to travel with. And you can keep it in here, you can keep it in your check bag, whatever it is. So what I use is, got a couple different options here for you. You know, we have this one, this is soft case right here, folds up, pretty super simple. This goes in check bag, super simple and easy, lightweight, not gonna add a lot, but it's a soft case. You can just slide your rifle right in there and you can fly with it like this. Same with this case. Here's another soft case. This one's a little thicker. This one's made out of Cape buffalo hide. Same thing. You can either keep it in your locked box if you can cut your foam out right. So you keep that in there and you can travel with it in airplanes like that. Another thing is traveling on the back of the hunting truck in Africa. You want to have your rifle readily accessible because they're on racks. So another big thing is traveling with the soft case as well for a lot of this stuff. Especially when you have like a double rifle, more expensive rifles. Having one of these in the back of the truck helps you a lot. Being able to put it in the gun rack, either or vice versa. These two, they fit in the gun rack. You always can leave it, you know, kind of open so it's easily accessible, quick and easy out. But traveling with the soft case will save wear and tear on your rifle, your scopes, dust and debris from getting on it. Works out really well. Another thing is a gun sock. I have a gun sock in here on the rifle. Those work great as well. It's just a a sleeve that goes over the rifles. They can sit in the gun racks. They are good to fly with as well. I recommend if you're gonna have to fly and have to leave your lock case. I recommend taking like a real soft case like this, something that has a little bit more durability. This has quite a bit more cushion than this. But these are two different options here, as well as the gun sock. But you want one of these to be able to have it on the back of the truck, at night when you're heading back to camp. You can fully enclose it, leave it on the rack, or put it up on like the top of the roof of the truck, because there's usually a little box up there, or a little laying area, or you can put it inside the vehicle. And that way, because like when you're always offload in Africa, a lot of different people are going to be handling with your rifle. Trackers will be helping you get out of the truck, giving your rifle to you, so that way they can just grab it, hand it down to you, keep it a little bit more protected that way, and it just kind of keeps your rifle in good working order throughout your safari. So I recommend taking a soft case. I would recommend one of these over this, but if this is all you have, that's great. Or like I said, a gun sock, or both. A gun sock works great in this, especially when you're just traveling back and forth. You're not going to need to take it out. That gun sock's going to keep all the dust and debris out of it, especially if you have a little opening here that you had it for quick and easy access, or whatever you need there. But these cases work great. They're very inexpensive. Depends on what you want to do. This one was made out of buffalo hide that we had made, so it's a little bit more expensive. But cases like this, relatively cheap, easy to get. You can probably get them just about any sporting goods store that you go to, and they work really great. And I do recommend getting a soft case for any of your hunts. Alright, and so to wrap up this video on traveling with a firearm, a big topic is flights. We kind of went over what to do with your rifles, hard case, ammo case, soft cases. We went over that bolt out, 4457 form. That's something that you can simply easily do. A big thing is traveling overseas with a rifle can be tricky, and this is where the tricky part comes in. It's actually not tricky up until this part. It's booking the flights with your airlines, traveling through other countries, connection flights, permits, getting in and out. And so this could be a big headache, and a lot of people try to do it alone. They try to do it by themselves, think they can cut cost, by doing it themselves, and it can really cause a headache. So for me, I've always used a travel agent, and in 2018 I found Patrick, owner of PWP Travel, and I've worked with him exclusively since. Patrick is hands down the best guy in the industry for this when it comes to booking flights international for hunting when you're traveling with a rifle, because Patrick knows this is what the guy does for a living. He knows the ins and outs. He knows which airlines don't allow rifles. That he knows how to get your SAPS form done in South Africa. He does all this stuff for you. He helps you out, sends you the paperwork, tells you what you need to do. No matter where you're going, different countries have different requirements for traveling. Different airlines have different requirements for traveling with a firearm or even a bow. So when you're traveling and taking a firearm, it's worth the few $100 fee to use a guy like Patrick. And I'm just going to say this, I use Patrick exclusively, and I think everyone should use Patrick. Hands down the nicest guy you work with. Intelligent, smart, knows the ins and outs about it, and he is there to help you. I've been in other countries like Zambia. I was leaving a couple days early, but my permit didn't say I was flying out with the firearm early, so there was a little bit of a cluster at the airport, and it was probably, I had to be like 2 or 3 in the morning where Patrick is in Texas, and I was in Zambia, and I was like, dude, this lady's not letting me on the plane, not letting me take my rifle, I need your help, and he got me squared away, super simple and easy. So it's really nice to be able to have connections with somebody else that knows the ins and outs, because I've sent a lot of people over to Africa, and I've had a lot of people try to do things on their own. I had a buddy of mine, him and his dad and his brother had booked a safari, and they were flying from the United States somewhere to I think it was in Germany or UK. Then they were flying down to South Africa and then back to maybe where there was to be. Well, the airline they didn't allow them to travel firearms, but they booked it like on Expedia. And they didn't know this till like 24 hours before their trip. And he called me, he's like, dude, what do we do? I'm like, dude, just leave your rifles, tell the outfitter you need to rent one. Super simple and easy that way. And that's another thing, is you don't want to fly with a firearm, you can always rent them. A lot of the outfitters have great rifles in camp. Like in New Zealand, Spade Creek has Gunworks. John X in South Africa has Gunworks. A lot of guys have Blazers. Like a lot of nice quality rifles are in camps for you guys to use. And they shoot well. So that's another option. But if you want to take your own rifle, which, I suggest you do. You've shot that rifle a lot, you've practiced with it. It's not that hard of work to get your rifle over there. Just taking these few steps will help you. So book with a guy like Patrick. He'll help you out, because some countries you need a permit to get into with the firearm, like your SAPS in South Africa. And then also you need permits in transition, like if you're had to overnight or just change airlines in a different country. Sometimes they require you to have a permit just for literally flying in and flying out with that rifle, and airlines do as well. So it's just nice to be able to go through the steps, have a guy like Patrick who knows it. There's a lot of horror stories that way of guys saying, well, I booked these flights, get there, they say we can't have a firearm, so on and so forth. And we've had some issues flying international. And it also depends on who you get at airports. Like, I'm just going to be honest, people are a big part of it, because we've been to places like, oh, you can't have this. You'll get some of the ticket counter, and they're like, you can't fly with a firearm. They go with the paperwork. Then you get the police involved, and they're like, nah, this person's correct. They have all the logistics. Leave them alone. Stuff like that. We've had kind of issues like that, just because someone has an ego and thinks their power is above you at the airport. And so just take your time. Don't get in a rush. Don't book super short connections when you go places. It's not that hard of a deal. Like literally 30 trips, and I think we've only had 2 issues out of all those 30 trips with flying with a rifle. It's simple. It's not hard. It's not that much work. Especially when you get a guy like Patrick. You get in early, get the paperwork done, get your 4457 form, get all your SAPs for South Africa, all your other logistic permits, and it's smooth sailing from there on out. And it's the thing that it's a peace of mind when you're traveling and using a booking agent for your flights, is they know, you got someone on your back, in your back pocket. You can always reach out and say, hey man, I'm having issues here, or I'm changing, I'm coming home early. It's just easier that way. Someone knows what's going on, and I suggest you guys take the time and spend the extra money to do it, because it can save you a lot of heartache and headache, because you can get tickets, you could wind up losing a rifle maybe if you didn't do it the right way and flew with an airline that didn't allow it, or flew into a country that didn't allow it, just different things like that. So it's easier to use a booking agent than get on Expedia, even though it's a click of a button when you're flying with the rifle. That's what I suggest you guys do. So I hope this video talking about traveling with a firearm went through and helped you between choosing your case, getting the correct locks. Remember, you test your locks out on the case that you have. Make sure they're combo locks. I do not suggest using key locks. Make sure you get an ammo box. Like I said, you can use TSA locks in this if you want. I do. Again, I'd rather use combo instead of the lock one that's in here, but you can get like a smaller lock one that's not TSA. So it's a big thing that way. And I'm just making sure I got everything covered for you guys here. Another big reason, I forgot to mention this, another big reason I don't use TSA locks is because on the gun case, besides everyone getting access and could steal your rifle, damage it, turn your scope, do whatever, it's when they do want to open it, they have to come get you because they don't have access to the case. That way you're always there when the case is open. That's just another big part of it, is the peace of mind saying, well, the flight might be delayed, but my rifle's going to come. They need to make it. Just make sure you put real locks on these, combo locks, high school gym locker locks, and your trip will be smooth sailing. So I hope this video helps you. Hope it gave you some insights, some tips, some peace of mind traveling with a firearm, and I hope you have a great trip on your first and next safari.